So Linda, we've been having this little series of conversations right now about pricing, right? Because it's so important to everybody's business. But I think it's important we probably talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to creating quotes and delivering them. I know I've made plenty of mistakes.
Oh,
Or
me too. I've made mistakes, but I've also made good mistakes and bad mistakes.
okay,
So it kind of all balances itself out. But I've had times where I've totally underpriced, missed something, didn't see the 20 pages of undeposited funds in the client
yeah,
file, only noticed the page one. And then I dive in and I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot to clean up here. And then you're sitting back knowing that I'm a believer like you, we're not going to go back to the client and say, oh, we discovered this
correct.
after the fact. I'm just going to honor that price. Probably not have my staff do the work. I'll do some of it myself on the weekend to kind of triage the whole
Yeah.
job. And
I think
then
I think there's a bit one distinction that I always like to put with that as well, because I agree with you. The difference is if it's a situation where the client didn't provide us all the information,
yeah.
and it's because of that side it's being added on, then of course that warrants a new discussion of pricing on things. And if for some reason it was really, really low, then I would have a dialogue, a conversation with them to find a good happy medium. But I completely agree. When I quote something, there have been many, many times I end up doing a lot more work, and it's always been worth it because at the end of the project, delivering something of high quality that is um, nothing like they've had before is the win. Like my favorite is when they take the work to their tax professional, right? And that tax professional sees and like, you obviously got somebody new doing your stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's a good
That's
feeling. That's a good
a great
feeling,
feeling.
especially if they come back to you with that.
Yeah.
And that's really, again, now we're always rolling it back to providing value, but you have to remember that you are giving great value for what you're doing. And sometimes you forget about that. You just don't ever really think of it from that perspective. And it all comes down to like good, great customer service. You're providing a great service to a client. And I think sometimes it's lost. You have to remember when your client comes to you, a lot of times for us, they're coming with a giant trust mess.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in the conversation, I'll say, is this keeping you up at night? Oh, 100%. And I'm going to help you
Yeah.
sleep at night, right? Yeah,
Can't
I'm
you
going to help you
tell?
sleep.
Kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
But a
Yeah.
lot of times that's the case. And I remember even saying it years ago where people are billing and I would help them with the billing because they were doing that in the middle, they were trying to do it all. And if you get that client that's trying to wear all the hats and you're going to walk in and assist them doing something that they don't even know how to do anyway, and they're not doing it very well, you have to remember that's a huge value to them. It's not as much of a value when you look at it from our perspective, but put yourself in the client's place. It's a huge value to them. And you have to get paid for that. You should get compensated. And don't think about it as, oh, it's so easy for me to like go through a done a bank fee,
That's the fatal flaw when you do that, right?
because that's the problem. We all do it. We're like, oh, it's 1,000 or 5,000 transactions. I just sort it and blow right through those. Yeah, we have that ability, but how do we get that ability? We did a lot of work to get that ability, and it comes down to the training that you have. Never stop learning. Never stop adding to, especially in the world we live in, because now all the technology is changing. What you're doing now with workflow, it's going to be a lot of staying on top of technology. All of us as accountants and bookkeepers have to stay on top of technology, because there might be some awesome thing out there that's going to help us do the work for us. We don't have to do all that anymore. So we want to stay on top of that. It's going to come. It's going to be quick. So
You
we
know, a good
be
example
relevant.
of that is you and I have had the opportunity recently to actually collaborate on quite a few different projects where you've had the need to modify large amounts of data or push or pull or do these different types of things. And that happens to be an area that I'm a big nerd at because I've been doing it for so long and playing with these different softwares. One of the mistakes I have been made from the beginning, I'm still trying to be better about it, is I want to make sure everybody recognizes we haven't told you how you should price. That's not for us to do. That's for you to figure out. For me, I would forget to charge for the cost of the software because I would think like I'm continuing to use it and I've been changing my perspective on that. And I would discount the price because I could get it done so fast. That doesn't approach the value you bring like you mentioned before.
Mhm.
And there's a happy medium, right? Like I'm not the greediest person in the world, but like you said, the only reason I'm able to do some of this stuff so quickly is because I've had 10 years now pushing the button, staying up late at night, making the mistakes, fixing it to remember what I did wrong previously to do it right the next time. And I think that's one other key thing that I would give as kind of a concluding tip from my side is, as you learn from your mistakes, don't forget to document them
Yeah.
so you learn from it, right?
You should be documenting your mistakes. You should be remembering what you did. You should be trying to, because that's all part of the process of elevating yourself to a better space and to be commanding higher rates, which is what we want to do in the end of the day. So yes, absolutely. Learn from your mistake, keep learning.